Why is finding God seem so difficult in today's world? 2,000 years ago when Jesus was walking around, it almost seemed like that's all everyone really cared about. That's all people lived for, was for the good of God, was for the greater of God. And we've just become so used to being clouded by all that's going on, all the busyness around us, all the commotion around us. Social media, every time you get on your phone, there's just something, news, telling you bad stuff, making you feel like everything's going wrong. Everything is not the way it's meant to be. There's all these people trying to tell you how to live a certain life, how to act a certain way. There's certain people that tell you what's good and what's wrong. And you think that that's who you need to listen to. The people that are successful in this life, the people that have all this money, all this status, all this fame. People think that's who I got to listen to, right? Because they got it all together, right? But let me tell you something. The more you chase the busyness of life, the more you chase the commotion of life, the more you chase the things of this world that the world tells you are normal, the farther away you're going to be from God. God is found in the stillness of life, right? Just sometimes you got to take time to just look around you, see God around you. God is everywhere. Whether you see him physically or not, whether you hear him verbally or not, he's everywhere. But it's hard to really feel his presence unless you take time to be still and truly acknowledge him and listen. The world we live in today is just, the standard is so high, it seems like. The standard for success is so high because there's all these different ways now to make money online. There's all these different ways that you can make money quick. People think, I got to find the quickest way to get to 10K a month. I got to find the quickest way to make money. I got to hustle. I got to live a life of hustle. I got to get this next internship. I got to go down this route. I got to get this job. I got to go down this career path. But they don't know what God wants of them. The more you chase the busyness of this life, the harder it is to find your purpose. Because, think about how many people, right, go down a specific path just for them later on in life to be unfulfilled and unhappy with where they are, unhappy with their job. I'm sure you all know someone like that. I know a lot of people like that. Think about people's approach going through school, going through college, right? They go through college expecting to get some kind of job, going after some kind of job that they think is going to be everything to them, that they think is going to give them fulfillment, right? The highest paying job, whatever's going to make them the most money. But do they truly find purpose in that? Do they truly find fulfillment in that? You know what? Maybe sometimes there's a lucky few that, you genuinely find a job that you're happy with, that brings you fulfillment and brings you purpose. But ultimately, you're not going to find that unless you listen to God. God tells you what that is. I read something this morning about, this is something I've always struggled with, is, me being a 21-year-old young man in this world, and just the busyness that we live in, this commotion that we live in today. I often stress about my future sometimes. I often worry about, what's the best career path for me? What's the best job for me? What does my future look like? Because sometimes it's hard to see it in the present moment. But that's not what I have to be worried about. This present moment is about me acknowledging God, me realizing that my future is within his hands. My future is within his plans. And the more I seek wisdom from God, the more I seek the truth, the more hope there is for my future. And this took me a while to realize. And I often, I kept going back and forth between just the stress about the unknowing about the future, as I'm sure many of you deal with as well. But I promise you, there's someone who does know what your plan is, and that's God. And the more you pursue him, the more you let him in, he'll guide you. He will guide your path, literally. I have so many friends, being in college, I have so many friends that are just so worried about, but you got to get this internship. You got to get a certain GPA. You got to do all these things so that you can get this kind of job, so you can network with these kind of people, so you can make these kind of connections. And yeah, you have to learn to be professional in the world we live in. You got to be professional. You have to hold yourself to a professional standard. You have to do things to get out of your comfort zone. You have to make connections. You have to assert yourself in this world, sure. But the more you chase the next internship, the more you chase the next job, whatever thing makes you the most money, what's the end? Right? When is it enough? It's never enough, right? There's always going to be a better internship to get. There's always going to be a better job to get. There's always going to be more money to make. But when it comes to fulfillment, when it comes to purpose in this world, it comes from God. I spent so many hours of my life, so many years of my life, ignoring his calling, ignoring his calling to me. And obviously everything happens for a reason. I'm not disregarding that. Maybe it's made me who I am today. Maybe that was supposed to happen. Maybe I was supposed to ignore his calling back then so that I can listen to it now, right? Because that's how you learn. That's how I learn to listen to it. And now every time I feel God calling, I hear God calling to me, I now know to listen and to accept that calling, because I know that by me listening to his calling, he's pointing me down a path that I might not even know what it is. I might not even know if I want to do it. I might not even know if it's worth it. But I know one thing. If I pursue God, it's always worth it, because he opens up so many more opportunities to me when I listen. But that's the problem. So many of us don't take the time to listen to him. You have to find peace in the stillness of life. And we're so clouded by all this commotion going on around us, all this busyness going on around us, social media telling you what's right and wrong, all these influencers trying to tell you the best thing to hop onto, the best meta, the best business, the best whatever, the best thing for you. None of them know what's best for you. That's for you to find out. Because guess who knows what's best for you? God. And it all goes back to him, it all goes back to him. God doesn't want you to pursue a certain job. He doesn't want you to pursue a certain career, right? He might provide you with a certain career, but ultimately he wants you to pursue him, and he'll provide you with whatever you need. He'll provide you with whatever he wants to give you, because you're unique. You're made in his image, and he has a special plan for you. As long as you open up to him and listen, he'll guide you. Now, again, this is something I've always struggled with. It's just the unknowing about the future. And I still do sometimes. I genuinely have, those thoughts creep in. You can imagine, like, in my situation, in the world we live in today, like, there's so much going on around me. I'm always comparing myself. Well, comparison's the thief of joy. That's the number one thing that keeps me down, is me comparing myself to other people. What are you comparing yourself for? There's no reason you need to be comparing yourself to other people. Comparing yourself to what? The ways of the world? Because that's what you're doing. I was comparing myself to this world around me. I was comparing myself to the world around me, the people around me who are living for the world, who are living for fulfillment in the world. But they just don't realize that's not going to bring them fulfillment. When you stop comparing yourself to other people, comparing yourself to the world around you, and start listening to God and staying true to yourself, I promise you, things will align a lot faster than you think. People think that it's hard to get your life on track. It definitely takes some commitment. It takes some commitment for sure. It takes some discipline. It takes some effort. Not that I'm saying my life is all on track and I'm so put together, but I've learned so much about the mental aspect of what it takes to truly set yourself up for God. Set yourself up in God's hands. And this is something that I've forced upon myself for so long, is listening to all these influencers, listening to all these people that I find successful, listening to all these people that I think are going to make me rich, or I think are going to make me the man that I want to be, the man that let me say that again, the man that I want to be. Well, sometimes the man that I want to be isn't always the man I need to be. The man I need to be is something that God is going to provide me. And sometimes he's not going to point you down a certain direction, because that's not who you need to be. Just because you want to be that doesn't mean you need to be that. I might want to look like an Andrew Tate, walking around with all this money, with the Bugatti, with successful businesses, with a certain status, with an empire. I might want that, because what comes from it? What comes with it? A lot of things that we find appealing. A lot of things of this world that look appealing. But I don't need that. That's not me. Right? I'm Jake Chandler. I'm unique. God's made me unique. And I have a specific purpose that he's designed for me already. The more I look at the world, the more I conform to the world, the more I lose direction. And I've realized that the only way for me to truly stay grounded in this life, for me to truly accept who I am, is if I let God in. If I open my ears to him, if I stay still and see him around me, see him working in my life. Because the world tells you otherwise. The world tells you that you got to get it on track. You got to get all these things done. You got to pursue this. You got to pursue that. But you're not pursuing God. God is literally the answer. He's literally the answer. He takes it all away. He takes all the worry, all the stress, all the anxiety away. Because you're committing yourself to his plans. You're committing yourself to his hands. And his hands, they can work a lot harder than yours can. They can do a lot more than yours can, right? His hands were created for craftsmanship, right? And he crafts you into a whole different person. The person that you thought you always wanted to become, he can make you that and then more. He makes you that and then more. You know, the version of myself that I thought I wanted to become for so long, after watching all these YouTubers, you know what I'm saying? After watching all these influencers, after watching all these people telling me what's right and what's wrong, telling me how to be successful, after listening to all these people and their versions of what I thought is what I need to do to be the person that I think I need to be, I ended up right back at square one, right? And then only I found that the exact person that I was chasing after, God had planned that out for me all along. And the thing is about pursuing God is you don't have to act a certain way. You don't have to act all these things out because he provides it naturally. He dwells within you. So all these things that you're chasing after, all these things that you think you got to do to level up, once you pursue God, you do it naturally. You literally do it naturally. And, you know, when I realized that, it just brings me so much clarity and so much peace because, again, the world makes you think that you always need to be better. And you can always be better, sure. But if you're not pursuing God, you're going to be drained. You're going to be shut down over and over again. And that's the message I want to bring out today is just you have to give time for God. You have to be still so you can hear him, listen to him, listen to his plan that he has for you, right? I feel like I make relatively the same messages over and over again in different, formats. But this message is universal. Like, listen to God. Like, let him in your life. This is something I've just been very passionate about lately because, I've dealt with times when I haven't let him in my life and I see myself, let myself down over and over again. But when I let him into my life, it's just like I skyrocket into a whole nother level. My mind opens up to a whole nother viewpoint. And that's the beautiful thing about God is he transforms your mind. All those versions of yourself that you wanted to become, he transforms your mind. You see things a totally different way. And you just naturally level up. You naturally become a better person. You naturally become more mature. You naturally become more confident. You naturally become a better communicator. You naturally become more charismatic. All these things that I wanted to become, God provides that for me naturally because he's within me. And when I pursue him, I'm literally just channeling that energy. You're channeling that energy that is already inside of you. And it's a beautiful thing to watch play out. So, don't worry about a career. Don't worry about a job. Don't worry about the money, right? God doesn't want you to pursue a certain career. He wants you to pursue purpose. Where does your purpose come from? It comes from him. So I want that to be your challenge this week is to think about what your purpose is, right? Think about what God is calling you to do. And listen and act on it. I promise you he's going to bless you. I promise you're going to open up to a whole new aspect of life that you never thought you could achieve. You never thought you could see. But again, he transforms the mind. You see things completely different for the better, of course. There's a lot of simple things you can do. I like to come in nature. I like to be outside. I definitely feel God's presence when I'm outside and his beautiful creation. There's not all this commotion going on around me. I hear the birds chirping. I hear the wind swaying against the trees. The sun is shining. There's so much to be thankful for out here. And it really makes you think and appreciate God's goodness. So I want you to try and think about something that, you're grateful for. Think about the things that God has done in your life that you are grateful for, that you can be blessed about, because there's always something to be grateful for. Dwell on that, dwell on God, and you will find peace, you will find direction and purpose in this life. So, thank you all for watching this video. short little message, but it needs to be said. The world we live in today is just, it's so clouded, and you don't know what's right and what's wrong. But I'll tell you one thing, the only one who truly knows the answers is God. Pursue him, and you will see the true you, and the true purpose that he has for you. So thank y'all for watching this video. Hope you've been enjoying the content. Again, try to be more consistent. I appreciate this. I really appreciate the support lately. You know, all these new subs that we've got the past couple days, really appreciate your support, your feedback on everything. You know, I've had a lot of comments saying that I've been able to help some of y'all out, and that a lot of y'all needed these messages, and that just means the world to me, man. That means the world to me, that you are taking the time to even listen to these videos, and you know, taking the time to, you know, show some feedback and support. It means everything to me. And I really enjoy, you know, bringing content to you all that you find valuable. That's my mission, right? That's what I want to do. I want to build a community where you all feel valued. You all feel included in this, and you are included in this. So, you know, your feedback is greatly appreciated. You know, because I can always be better. I can always do better. So, hey, if you got some criticism, lay it on me, because I need it, right? We all need some criticism, whether that's negative or positive, right? All criticism is positive, right? If you think about it. So anyways, thank y'all for watching this video. Be still, recognize God in your life, and you will feel at peace. So thank y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.